A group that defends religious freedom around the world is raising the alarm over the situation for Christians and Shia Muslims in Nigeria. And join me now to talk more about these troubling developments is Maenza, chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, which has noted the spike in violence in Nigeria. Nadine, always good to see you. Can you talk to us more about the situation for believers in Nigeria? I understand a number of apparently religious motivated atrocities were committed in the span of just a few days.
Yes, we continue to see religious freedom conditions worsen in Nigeria in the last few weeks. It kind of gives you a snapshot of what that looks like. We saw armed assailants attack 2 villages in Kaduna State, home to minority Christian communities, killing an estimated 50 people and burning 7 churches. And then last week, a mob in Nigeria's northern Kano State killed Christian pastor Reverend Yohana Shubaibu and burned his house, his church, his mission school to the ground, allegedly for his perceived role in converting a member of a local Muslim family to Christianity. And then also last week, Nigerian authorities reportedly shot and killed 8 Shia Muslims who were taking part in a procession to mark the religious holiday of Abrayan in the capital of Abuja. So it just shows you the kind of violence and religious freedom violations that we're seeing.
Well, Nadine, I know that you've been in contact with people living in Nigeria. What are you hearing from them, and what is life like for them right now?
Well, it's very disconcerting. There's a lot of fear, and so much of this is happening with impunity. We're not seeing, the government come. And some of those instances we saw, there were responses of the security forces, but sometimes there are no responses. So there's no one is going to jail for these crimes, and so we're also seeing the government themselves, increase their arrests on blasphemy accusations and convictions in local court, which is also adding to this environment, which is hurting those that want religious freedom. In July, a Sharia court charged Sheikh Abdul Jabbar Narisu Kabara with blasphemy and incitement for expressing an alternative interpretation of Islam. And so then we also had a humanist activist, Mubarak Bala, who was charged with creating a public disturbance for posting what they called blasphemy content on social media. So what you have is when you have these laws going after people for just practicing their faith, it really just heightens that environment that is really adding to this violence that's so concerning to us that we have recommended that the U.S. Government redesignate Nigeria as a country of particular concern for tolerating and even engaging in systematic, ongoing, and egregious violations of religious freedom.
Nadine, can you talk to us a little bit more about that? What does that redesignation mean?
Right. So the U.S. Commission has been following Nigeria and recommending making recommendations about the worsening conditions since 2004. But just last year, the U.S. government finally designated them as a country of particular concern, which should come with some sort of sanctions or a consequence for being a violator of religious freedom. But unfortunately, the U.S. government gave them a waiver. And we've heard rumors that there's even a possibility they will remove them from the list of countries of particular concern, which would be a big mistake considering the fact that conditions are only worsening there. So it's important that the United States continues to stand for religious freedom and call out Nigeria for these egregious, ongoing, and systematic violations of religious freedom.
Yeah, Nadine, I also want to talk about Boko Haram, the militant Muslim group. I hear it's growing in northern Nigeria, recruiting villagers to join the insurgency against the government. For those who may not be that familiar, can you tell us more about Boko Haram and the threat it poses to religious freedom and human rights?
Right. Well, of course, they're aligned with ISIS. And so you have this situation where you have Islamic groups that are fighting, that some of them are aligned, and all sorts of other Islamist groups in Nigeria that are grabbing land, and because the U.S. or the Nigerian government is refusing to intervene and try to stop them, and either don't have the ability or aren't trying to, they have this free reign to commit whatever atrocities they choose to commit. So it's created an environment of great fear, and as you can see, enormous amount of violence. All through the country. Used to talk so much about the Middle Belt, but these instances I just listed were up more in the northern part of the country. So we're seeing it expand in different places, and Boko Haram is not being stopped. And we have recommended that the U.S. government, also finalize and implement an interagency action plan on religious freedom. So to really take a look at the government holistically from all the ways that we interact with the government and put a plan together to help them move their country towards religious freedom, to getting away from these blasphemy laws, for having their military, or in police forces to arrest people when they commit these atrocities, to not allow Boko Haram to be unchallenged with the crimes they're committing against religious minorities, and also to fund programs that will increase access to justice for attacks on houses of worship, religious leaders, congregations. And so there are things the U.S. government can do to help move the government towards religious freedom. And we feel like there are some really clear instances, and we've been talking privately to the U.S. government as well. And we appreciate the open door, as always, for them to consider our recommendations. But we think the time now is to have a strong voice for religious freedom for the people of Nigeria.
Well, Nadine, thank you so much for talking with us about this, and thank you so much for all that you do. Nadine Maenza, Chair of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom. Thank you again.
Thank you.